Anything on the front page of the website, as far as you know?
No, nothing on the front page. It's not been a practice of the village to put planning commission notices or public hearing notices on the village website.
I don't have any questions this time. I have some comments, but I believe that would be a lot of I should do that another time, Mr. Mayor? Comments or are those?
First,
should I get those now?
additional questions from board members and then we'll see comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, additional questions, if any, from other board members?
Mayor Murphy,
Trustee Rivers?
I just have two questions, Michael, and they're related to safety. As they're doing the construction, do they have a safety plan as far as moving the vehicles? I guess they're coming down the road to the site. Is there any type of safety plan, any type of directing the traffic? Is there anything going on like that?
I will defer to McShane about what their standard practices are regarding construction activity.
Michael, these required permits also, correct? To move a lot of vehicles?
Oh, certainly for overweight vehicles.
So permits were issued defining routes, et cetera?
Tom Barris, McShane Construction, 9550 West Higgins Road, Rosemont. Like you just said, all, excuse me, all equipment loads are permitted. Anything overweight has to have a specific permit and haul road or haul path to the site. Any work off-site would have appropriate traffic plans submitted to the village engineers for review. Barricades would be in place, proper signage would be in place. Any lane closures would be approved by the village. We don't anticipate any here, but if they would come up, that would all be run through the village engineers. Flaggers would be provided if necessary. Right now we plan no lane closures on Woodward or any of the side streets. We shouldn't need them. Traffic in and out of our access roads, all of our on-site access points are controlled with village approval on where we can come in and out. Those really won't have any impact on the through traffic. We will provide adequate protection on site so trucks can come in, they're not waiting on the street. We won't allow any standing traffic out on the street to block traffic. But beyond that, there's really, our goal is to limit all impact to our site specifically. We will not impact the roadway.
Now, as far as, another safety question, as far as anyone in the child and wandering over there on site or where the vehicles are parked, is there something to keep them from doing that?
Currently, there's still fencing running the length of the property. What we plan to, as we move in a trailer and additional protection, we will put up site fencing so we can close off the access road at night. When we're not there, those gates will be closed. That's not on site yet because we haven't moved everything in yet, but that is in the works. We will put up a site fence at least across our access gates so that it is locked so people can't drive in. There's nothing specifically stopping them from crashing through silt fence or anything like that because it's a 20-acre site. It's difficult to stop something like that, but our access points will be closed off.
And Michael, I guess my final question. One of the residents mentioned about the guardrails on the bike path. Is that, I know those are fairly new, maybe 2 or 3 years we had to replace them. Is there any consideration about straightening them?
I would defer to Mr. Benthel regarding the guardrails.
And I'd ask our engineer, Gary Cottingham from Lattice to jump in if I'm off base on anything. Bike paths in town, especially when they're receiving federal funding, have to follow IDOT design standards. They also follow AASHTO recommendations, which is why along a section of Woodward you have a fence that's in place. The fence isn't there to keep vehicular traffic off the path, but it's meant to keep bicycles and pedestrians from falling into the traffic lane. To my knowledge, the village does not have any guardrail on bike paths, other than where you would have a separation over, for instance, the bridge on 83rd Street over 355, where you have a concrete median. To my knowledge, there's no vehicular type guardrails for any paths. installing those would probably become some cost prohibitive. It's not something I've seen as a standard item on paths and other communities either.
Additional questions from board members?
Yes, one other question. What is the size of the budget, the budget for the village?
I believe it's about 39 million.
Thank you.
Okay, additional questions for board members?
Mayor Murphy.
Trustee Banks?
At one point, the issue had come up regarding possible jobs, and the statement was made that some employees will not relocate. Has there been a sense, or have your employees been notified that there is a possible move to Woodbridge? Do you have a sense yet of the number of employees that will or will not relocate?
Yes, all the associates in the organization have been notified of the move. They were notified of the move 3 weeks ago. We made the announcement, held company meetings where we all informed all the departments various times. I went through some of the preliminary drawings, the site plan, some of the manners and ways to get to the community. We talked about public transportation and so forth. So that was our preliminary review with the associates. We're going through a process right now where we're allowing all of them to digest what we've communicated to them and basically come to us with any questions they may have about the move and the move plan and the timing of that. Once we gather all their questions, we're going to hold subsequent meetings with them to let them know and to answer their questions and provide them an opportunity really to ask further questions to get comfortable with the move. But as of today, no one has come to us and said, no, we're not relocating. I would imagine as people get comfortable and they're making trips, we hear that feedback today, I've made the trip, it doesn't seem to be that bad of a drive. More people are getting comfortable with the opportunity and where we're coming to really just understand what the implications are to them personally. So no one is committed that they are not going to make the move. You're welcome.
Other questions from board members? Trustee Gina Kennedy.
Yes, Michael, we've had some discussion here tonight about berms, and I just want to kind of confirm a little bit here with the potential of increasing the height of foot. Is that something that we can get some feedback on relatively shortly? I'm not sure where to direct that question, but I thought I would start with you.
Oh, certainly. What we will do is immediately go and talk to McShane and their engineering consultant, have our engineers evaluate the feasibility of raising that berm.
So on that same line, again, with the additional trees that possibly could be planted, same thing, then
Right.
I just want to be sure because it sounds like that also could have an impact maybe surrounding the area or slightly, I'm not really sure, but if we're doing the center median and some other points along both Woodward and some additional planting, I think could help aesthetically, but also possibly have the potential to reduce maybe some sound that's traveling up and down Woodward Avenue. So I would be interested in that.
Additional questions from trustees?
Very much.
Trustee,
We've received, what, 3.5 hours of information tonight. It seems to me that there's a whole lot, this is a big issue to a lot of people. This is the first chance I've had to review it. I would make a motion to table ordinance number 2011-47 so that all the board members can digest the information we've received, discuss this with residents further, get further resident input, and so that we can make a better decision.
okay, there's been a motion regarding the ordinance. Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails. Additional question, Mr. Good has a question.
A motion, yes, I have that motion. No.
A gentleman earlier raised an issue with respect to the access to the site and its proximity to another intersection or entrance ramp. Am I correct that IDOT is aware of this access point and has not raised an objection?
Correct. Staff has been working closely with IDOT regarding this access point. We are in the process of a jurisdictional transfer of the access from IDOT to the Village of Woodbridge. Currently, we have a permit from IDOT for this access, so they've been evaluated.
Any final questions before comments? Any final questions from board members? Okay, if not, then let us proceed to any comments board members choose to make.
Mayor Murphy.
Trustee Abbott?
As you can probably tell from the tone of my questions and the questions that I'm asking against this proposal, I look at this and I'm really kind of shaking my head at this. We are doing something that I think is very unfair to many residents. We have people that have invested $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in their homes. We have people who have put $20,000 patios in their backyard. We have people who take great care of their homes. And it's one thing to have development. I understand that. I appreciate that. I'm pro-development. I understand that getting additional sales tax revenue into the village is a good thing. I'm not opposed to additional sales tax revenue. But to me, this seems like, for what we're doing to residents, and I use that word carefully, what we're doing to them, for easily $214,000 a year on a budget of $39 million. I mean, I put it in my calculator, it's like 0.0002 of our budget. It gives us virtually no benefit as a town. Yet it's causing great hardship to many people. Now, you know, we look here and we've got, I don't know, I tried to do a count, I counted maybe 50, 55, 60 people coming out short notice. Many people didn't even know this was up tonight. They got here before 7:30, it's 11:05, they're still here, hardly anyone has left. We're talking about people who are going to have a minimum of 30, 35 box trucks going, barreling through their streets between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. To me, that's unconscionable to do that to residents. Towns have business parks for a reason. Businesses go there because they're not compatible with residential. Business parks are needed, they're essential. They are a great place to put businesses. I don't think creating a new business park in what is a heavily residential area benefits any of the residents. I look at the process and the one word that comes to mind is unfair. I don't think it's fair to the residents. These people moved to this village, they put a lot of money in their houses, they really do everything they can to make it a great place to live. And it seems to me we're selling off for $214,000 a year. I mean, my guess is you could get 214 families to give you $1,000 a year to make up that difference. And I also have to say, when I say unfair, I think it's unfair to the residents. I think it's unfair. I think this process is unfair, to be quite honest. We are talking about taking land that's farmland that 4 years ago, we had a comprehensive plan. The community came together to talk about what's the best use for this facility, for this location. We had 2 town hall type meetings. We had a planning commission meeting, and we had a report meeting. We had 4 opportunities for people to devise this plan. Now, in this situation, we've had no town hall meetings. We had a plan commission meeting that was hardly anybody. It was almost impossible to read those signs on Woodward. I tried on 6 occasions. I slowed down to 30 miles an hour. I almost got rear-ended. And I couldn't tell that they were the plan commission meeting. People go there with very little advance notice or heads up as to what's going on. And then we have this forum here for them to tell us their views. I mean, I guess I don't understand if we're devising a plan, why we have 4 opportunities for people to come and tell us what they want. And now that we're going to change it, they only have 2 opportunities. I guess I'm a little troubled with that. I would think you'd give the same number of opportunities. I guess, I look at this and I think, we have business parks. We'd love to have it ever gone. We have 5 business parks. They'd be great in any one of those. We'd love to have them. But this just seems unfair. The process is unfair. We had a town hall, our annual meeting, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks ago. There was a PowerPoint presentation. I didn't see anything mentioned. Maybe I missed it. But I didn't see anything mentioned about this. This, I guarantee you, this is more important to most residents than anything else that we discussed that night. You know, it's not on the website. I mean, this is something that's affecting a lot of homes. We're talking about 50 certified letters going out to people who live within 250 feet. I mean, I can hit a golf ball further than that. I mean, this is going to impact much more than those 50 people. My guess is there's probably 100 to 200 homes that are going to get impacted by this. And I think there's a whole lot of downside for the people. I don't think $200,000 a year is that much of an upside for the village. It just seems like this is a great deal for Edward Don, McShane, Younger, and Henry. It seems to me like a lousy deal for the people.
Prior to offering an opportunity for further comments, two clarification questions come to my mind. And that is, could you once again provide a clarification about that $214,000 amount? Is that not just the first year?
It's the first year. For the village alone, it's projected that over 30 years, there will be over $30 million.
We have people.
What else
The areas of the city.
What answer to us?
The second question I have for clarification, having attended that very same town meeting, did not your department have information and display in regards to this development?
That's correct, and we answered questions of residents.
Okay. Okay, let us continue then with comments. Any other board members choose to comment? I would choose to comment just very briefly. And we talked to alluded to the comprehensive plan in this proposal not being consistent, and that's unfair. And some might have, as I do, the view that to not change the plan would be unfair, because the concept of having complete offices is more intensive land use, particularly as it relates to traffic. And the comment has been made about speculating about retail development at Woodward and 87. I'm of a belief, and I'm not an economic development specialist, that I don't think either type of development is going to have a benefit one way or the other. I think both would probably have a development, but I don't think one is more significant than another. I'm a believer that the development at 87 in Woodward is going to be taking place regardless of what happens on this site. And I think that a lot of that is based or at least slowed down because of the economy. I come to the determination that, contrary to views I understand on the part of many people in the audience, that I feel is a high-quality design. The original development zoning, as was stated earlier, when it was in the county of DuPage, was apartments, apartments, apartments. And when we annexed McAdams development, we were able to reduce the number of apartments on that parcel. We didn't even want to do this. We didn't want any multiple family to begin with, because we've had a moratorium on apartments in this community for good reasons for a long time. But it enabled us, in spite of that reluctance on continuing some multiple family, it allowed us to annex property for the residential area in what was viewed as positive development in the absence of multiple family sometime on the east side of Woodward Avenue, and allowed us to go down to International Center. And as been alluded to earlier, International Center does adjoin some areas that are residential. And I get calls from residents all the time, or people see me in stores. I've never had a single person in the areas that are adjacent in residential areas to Office Warehouse say anything negative to me about their property values. We were fortunate eventually to eliminate that multiple family, and through the comprehensive plan, citizen feedback, we changed that to office. And as been alluded to, this change, in the eyes of many people, will be less intense, less traffic. I believe it facilitates the future build-out of this business park in a manner that minimizes the impact of the park. And I'm not suggesting there won't be any impact, but I believe the things that the staff has insisted upon and that the village, the developers have agreed to significantly minimize the impact on the adjacent residential area. And I think particularly the restriction on semi-truck traffic internally into the south is a major component of that. And I heard staff talking about that concern and village board members talking about that concern from the very first day that this came before us. How can we minimize the impact to the residential area? I think the facade of the building has been designed in a manner to reduce the visual impact of the structure. I think it ultimately will be something that we're very proud of. And as I've stated a couple of times, the traffic impact is less than if it had been continued as all office. And once again, the tax impact, not just for the village of Woodridge, but our fellow taxing bodies, is not $214,000 per year. If that was the case, I'm not sure we would be sitting here tonight. Finally, well, a couple of things. One, I again want to mention, and it's been mentioned several times, the 4,352 reduction in trips from that existing zoning, 54% reduction. There'll be less traffic, there'll be increased safety than if that office complex had been approved. They not only meet the village lighting standards, but are less of an impact in terms of their lighting. And likewise with the sound and the sound studies that have been reviewed. Last, and it's more of a personal issue, the question has been asked, would you want this in your backyard? And I know every trustee has visited that site. And they don't live there, but they have visited that site. They read every single page of the Plan Commission minutes. But I can answer that question because I live in that backyard. I don't live across the street. I live up the street on the same side as this proposed development. I live in the Water Tower Reserve townhomes on the very last street, Prairie Lane. And when that last component, that last proposal comes forward on the north end of that site, it'll be adjacent to my home, to my residence, to my backyard. And I'm not the least bit concerned about the impact on that in terms of residential property values. So I offer those thoughts. Board members have had a chance to ask questions and to make comments, and I would inquire of the maker and the second of the motion whether they would be amenable to including in their motion that condition 7, which would give residents an opportunity as the development goes forward to provide feedback and further input. Would the maker and second of that motion be amenable to that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have before you then approval of that motion, and I would ask Clerk Nystrom to please call the roll.
Trustee Banks.
Aye.
Trustee Beavers.
Aye.
Trustee Abbott.
Aye.
Trustee Cunningham.
Aye.
Mayor votes. Mayor votes
Mayor.
aye. Motion is approved.
Motion is approved.
Let me comment that the staff has documents in the hallway and at the podium here. For those individuals who would like to put down their address and their website, their email address, so that we can notify them for future developments on the process. Okay, we then move to Resolution R67, 2011, and I would inquire, I would seek a motion to approve Resolution 67, 2011, authorizing the mayor and village clerk to enter into an economic incentive agreement with Edward Dye and Company. Motion by Trustee Cunningham Pizzic. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Banks. And motion's been made and second. Ms. Rush.
Which will provide for partial reimbursement of sales tax and utility tax revenues generated from their facility over the next 30 years.
resolution number R67, 2011, which authorizes the mayor and village clerk to enter into that economic incentive agreement with Edward Don. Michael, would you like to provide a quick overview, or?
Let me just provide the basic elements of the proposed incentive agreement. As Village Administrator Russ mentioned, it is a 30-year agreement. The provisions provide for a 75-25 split for the first 5 years. 75% of the sales tax would go to Edward Don, 25% to the village. For the next 10 years, it would be a 50-50 split of sales tax revenue between Edward Don and the village. Village also has a provision in there that provides bonuses that would total approximately $900,000 if Edward Don exercises its 2 additional options on the lease. These bonuses would be provided at the end of each lease to extend it out to 30 years. It also includes $1 million utility tax rebate. That is capped. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the waiver of the building permit fees. This agreement, similar to many other tax incentive agreements that the village has contemplated over the years, provides a clawback provision. What that means is if Edward Don were to leave the facility anytime in the first 20 years, there is a progressive clawback or repayment of sales tax and utility taxes rebates that have been offered to them.
Okay, we will proceed as we did for the first agenda item to give residents and guests an opportunity to ask any questions about that particular item. And again, we ask you to proceed with the podium, state your name and address. Okay, observing no one, then we proceed with questions from board members. Hearing none, we proceed with comments from board members. Hearing none, a motion has been made and second. Clerk Eastern, please call the roll.
Trustee Abbott?
No.
Trustee Banks?
Aye.
Trustee Beavers?
Aye.
Trustee Cunningham?
Aye.
Mayor votes. Mayor votes.
Aye. Motion is approved.
Motion is approved.
That concludes our meeting, but we do have one matter of business, and that is to present to Mr. Good a birthday greeting for an upcoming significant birthday. Saturday, so we have to hold board. Congratulations. Let me indicate again that there are forms available in the lobby and at the front of the desk with Assistant Village Administrator Peggy Halleck for residents that choose to give us their email so that they can be notified in compliance with condition number 7 to be sent information about what's being proposed. And I certainly understand the frustration of individuals who had a different view on this tonight, that there may not be tonight in trying to do that. But any of you residents that are here, feel free to take one of those forms, and as the days go by, people may want to give us their email so that we can notify them in the future. Thank you for being with us, and the chair entertains a motion to adjourn by Trustee Cunningham, second by Trustee Beavers. All in favor indicate by the sign aye. Opposed, motion is approved. We are adjourned.